We're doing a fun little project today. We're gonna make some concrete throwing knives. Don't do that at home. That's not safe. I've been a concrete enthusiast since I was about 6 years old. My dad got me my first throwing knife when I was 6 in the side of a tree and left me, or put it in the basement, and I would take an hour or so to aim the knife and then throw it, or maybe it was like 10 minutes. As a kid, who remembers? I've actually carried that hobby with me throughout my entire life, and years ago Dad asked me, why don't you make a concrete throwing knife? And I always thought, oh, it's a stupid idea, but it's the reason why I thought it was a stupid idea, which I guess that's probably a bit harsh, but with concrete, it's the shock that's going to kill you, or kill the knife. So this is a throwing knife made by Cold Steel. This is one of their more rugged throwing knives, and definitely a great knife for beginners. There's another one that I have, these German versions, but these are a lot easier to put in a form, and that's what we're going to do today. So what I did is I took 2 of these knives, and I'm just wrapping them up, sandwiching them together, and then taping them. And this is what I'm going to use to make my mold. And the reason why I'm making it twice as thick as the steel knife is because of that shock load. We are not throwing these into bales of hay, we're throwing them into tree trunks. So it's a pretty nasty shock load, and you're going to have some shear forces and tensile forces, and the concrete will be a little bit more susceptible to that cracking. So anyway, so we took our knives, we doubled them up, taped them up, and now so I'm going to take some saran wrap. I want to cover these up because we are going to be covering them with epoxy, and that's how we're going to make our mold. I bought just a regular silicone-based epoxy on Amazon, and thank you, Amazon. And then I taped up these knives, and now I'm just going to cover these knives up. So we're finishing it up on the concrete throwing knives. We went ahead and ripped and stripped our mold. A little bit of issues. I should have put in a closer container. Didn't have enough. I'm going to be getting some more of this stuff and making this mold up again. What we're going to do here is mix up some grout. I call them concrete throwing knives, but it's really a grout throwing knives. So we've got 440 grams of the Type 1-2 Portland cement. You can get this at your Lowe's, Home Depot, White Cap, or if you have a buddy who owns a concrete plant, just get a garbage can full. 990 grams of an ASTM C33 concrete sand. It's a natural sand, a well-graded sand. You want to make sure it's a dry sand. When your wife's not home, take a cookie sheet, throw a bunch of sand on it, maybe about an inch thick layer with a bunch of handprints in it. Let it sit for about 10 hours. Probably throw it in when she goes to sleep. Get it out in the next morning. Throw it in a bucket. I would say do it about 200 degrees or maybe 150. Let it sit and make sure it's a conventional oven. 200, don't do that. That's a bad idea. You'll get in trouble. 207 grams of water, and then 3 milliliters of a high-range water reducer. And you can get those online. I don't know what to do with my hands. Just get to mixing. Yeah. Okay, so here's our final mix. What we're trying to go for is something that has a significant amount of paste in it, but it's not even coming close to segregation. We don't want to see any of the aggregate dropping out, because once we put it on the vibratory table, or once you consolidate it, that aggregate's going to drop even further, and then you're going to have segregation in the throwing knife, and that just means you're going to have breaking. So what you saw me do in the mixing is I actually put my sand and cement in first so I can gauge the amount of water. I only put 85% of the water in. Took out 28 grams of water, and I added 2.5 mils of a high range water reducer. So we'll write that up here. And what that got me is this, I don't want to say it's a stiff mix, it's not a bony mix, but it's definitely not overly creamy. Like I kept out that water of convenience as much as possible. All right, so we want to pretend that these beams, or excuse me, that these knives are actually beams. So if we could mimic ASTMC 1567, the ASR mortar bar test, I mean, that's probably the best thing that I could describe. So what we're gonna do is fill each one of these halfway, and want to make sure you use like a putty knife and do the best you can to get stuff into those corners. And we're gonna come back in here with the tamper just a little bit, but more importantly, we've got a vibratory table here. You might not have that at home. You can use a palm sander on a cookie sheet just like this, and that'll kind of get you the same effect. Or you could just, you know, pick it up, drop it, 15 times, 10 times, and you'll get the same-ish effect. Oh, no way.
Did it break?
Hey, that was right there. I mean, that hit the target. Yeah, I think we're gonna stick to the hay targets for now. Prototype 1. Worked really good in the hay though. That was really nice. That was really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll post this, but we're gonna do some prototypes, different prototypes. We'll use some different materials. If you have any ideas how we can make this concrete or slash grout, it's a better way of saying it, stronger for throwing at wood targets, let us know. We'd love some ideas. Thanks for joining us. This has been fun as all get out. This is a surprise for my dad. He's been asking me to make concrete throwing knives now for a few years. So he's coming out here this week, and hopefully I can get his reaction. I'm gonna try to make him a set of 12. It's gonna be fun. Anyway, don't forget, like, subscribe, go concrete, beat asphalt.